Welcome. We want to welcome you to our second Colorado Broadband Lunch and Learn. Today we'll be featuring Beartooth technology. Michael is, I've asked him here in a second to take over, and he will tell you all about the exciting technology. One of the things that I love the most about this technology that he'll go more in depth about is that you can actually pair a dongle with your cellular phone, and even if you have no cellular coverage, you can use this technology to not only get situational awareness and find out where your team members are, but you can also talk as well and do texting. So I am not going to take too much of your time because he's got a lot to tell you about what they've got now and what they've got coming in the future. But I did want to just mention that if you are joining us for the first time, we would appreciate it if you would record your attendance with us today. This way we can send you the slide deck after we're done, and we'll also send you a link to the video so that if you want to go back and pick up on some stuff you might have missed. It'll also have Michael's contact information in there at the end. And we want to remind you too, if for some reason you aren't able to go in and record your attendance, that you can go in at any time at broadband.co.gov and go to the bottom of the page, and you'll find our Twitter link as well as our YouTube link. Today we've structured this session so that Michael will give you an idea of what they've got going on and what the technology is all about. And he'll probably uncover some of the stuff that they're working on. And he's going to give us a presentation. He'll take your questions. Michael, I guess we didn't talk about this. Do you want to take their questions as they come up, or do you want to wait till the end?
Either way works for me. Maybe what we could do is the slides are very brief, and somebody will just work through those. If somebody has a really impending question, let's stop. But maybe the slides are so brief, we'll go through them and then really use the time for your team to ask questions.
All right. So that's what we'll do. We'll go through the deck. We'll reserve some time in the end so that we can get your questions answered. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Michael, and I'm going to stop the share. It's all yours.
Great. Thanks a lot, Ed. We really appreciate that you and your group invited us here today. I'm Michael Monahan. I'm the founder and CEO of Beartooth. The way I'd like to structure today's call is kind of introduce you to what we're doing, hopefully start sparking in your mind how we can help meet your mission sets, but I want to reserve the majority of the time really to get your questions and feedback so that we can learn how we can best meet your needs. I'll go ahead and start with some slides. See if we can get those up. So can you see my screen, Ed?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, and let's go ahead and get that full screen. Great. So as Ed mentioned, we're Beartooth. What we build is what we call expeditionary networks. This is a way for you to communicate when there's no cell service, still using your smartphone. So the way we like to summarize it is talk, text, or see positional locations, all without cell service. We do it at size, weight, and price that we view as portable, even disposable. So you could actually, our price point's so low that if you can't recover some of the network equipment, it's not going to break your bank. So we built, as I mentioned, going to the first slide, we build lightweight portable networks, trying to help those of you that protect us from, large scale events. We also support everything from mining to professional sports to leisure. The way you start building your own network, there's really three components to the core Beartooth system. Number one is a smartphone application. So you would just download that onto your iPhone or Android device from either the iTunes Store or Google Play. What the actual Beartooth is, it's a device, as you can see on the screen, and it's about the size and weight of a deck of cards. It connects to your phone via Bluetooth. And once you've got that paired, you can talk to any other Beartooth user within range. You guys all know from using two-way radios that range is, how far can you go is really dependent on terrain. But we see our tactical users getting about a half mile in most situations. The farthest we've talked using Beartooth is 25 miles. For anyone who knows the Bozeman, Montana area, we talked from Morgan's Graveyard, which is at the base of the Bridgers, all the way down back into town. And so that's ground to ground. We weren't cheating or doing any peak to peak stuff. The way you can extend that network, we'll be releasing in the next few months these very small digital repeaters. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with how repeaters work. They're typically very expensive pieces of equipment that have to get placed by ATV or a helicopter. Our repeaters weigh about 8 ounces and can be placed by a person. They're battery powered. So you not only have the network of your people on a peer-to-peer basis, but you can build a mobile star network using portable relays. And the final thing we're doing, and I think our key introduction to Ed and his office, we've partnered with other electronics companies to make our networking layer a standard. The first one that's been announced is the Sonum ruggedized smartphones. So for those of you that are interested in or already using the Sonum phone, we're powering their off-grid push-to-talk technology. To the extent you're interested in who's already using Beartooth, many of the tier 1 special forces have used our product for several years now. Seeing more adoption across the FBI, DHS, Secret Service, supporting some of the local search and rescue, and outdoors also been a big segment for us. I think we see a lot of uptake in hunters and motorsports primarily. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we're seeing a lot of interest from hospitality, construction, entertainment, mining as well. If you're kind of trying to think about how our equipment works and what would you compare it to, we like to think of ourselves as low cost, moderate bandwidth equipment. So if you want to, if you want the big expensive kit, Harris or Trellis or Persistent will all sell you a $25,000 radio that can move 100 megabits of data and weighs 10 pounds. We'll sell you a $100 radio that moves tens of thousands of bits per second and weighs 4 ounces. So reason we think this is important and helps people who are trying to serve a mission and some type of first response or public service is our product tends to be 10 times to 100 times smaller, lower, less weight, and less cost. And given that it's all smartphone interface, a novice can deploy and use. You don't need a specialized radio guy to set up your network for you. Just literally anyone can download. And we also view it as a consumable network. Our price point is so approachable that if you have to abandon your kit or it gets lost, you need to hand it out to a partner agency. It's not going to break the bank. Quick background on myself. Our CTO has been one of the real innovators in LoRa-based networking. He and I hold a bunch of the patents in the area. So on that, I'll pause for first set of questions, and maybe we can go through and talk about some of the use cases we're seeing. So with that, I can open up questions.
Hi, good afternoon. Where do you see this in search and rescue, and what application cases have you seen in search and rescue and in wildland fire applications?
Great. So in search and rescue, about probably 60 days ago, Gallatin County Search and Rescue had to pull maybe it was 90 days ago, had to pull a backcountry skier off. And, there was a multi-hour search to locate him. There was assets being moved around. There was a helo. There was guys on the ground. And they were in an area that didn't have a repeater, obviously didn't have cell service. And so everything was having to be done by hand signal. Had they had Beartooth, The team on the ground could have spoke using Beartooth, and they could have also been speaking to the team in the helo. And super cheap, super inexpensive, don't have to have any equipment already sitting there. So that's one of the use cases. So the day after that happened, the guy one of the sheriffs from Bozeman called me the next day. He's like, hey, can you get me a couple more Beartooth sent over? We literally just needed these yesterday. So that's one of the use cases we've seen. Wildland fire, I think that, the best use case for it is what I would call a lot of the tertiary support people, all the people working around the fire camp. If right now, if you need to call in a supply list, you might have to give a 200-line item, calling that over the radio and repeating back. The nice thing with Beartooth is you can actually send data messages. So you could both verbally call it in, but then you could send a data message to confirm. So it's a couple of the use cases we've seen in fire and search and rescue.
And one of the key, this is Ed Mills with the state, is one of the key differentiators that I've seen is that there are other technologies that are similar being used, but most of them only have the situational awareness piece, or they have the texting ability. But there are many of us, I being a first responder, I want to be able to talk to my team members off note as well, and it's not enough just to have the situational awareness and the texting ability. Sometimes a lot of stuff gets lost in the translation of texting, and so that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about this technology, as well as the the partnerships that they're striking with companies like Sonam Technologies. You've heard us talk all over the state about Sonam and what they do. And can you talk about a little bit of it? I've seen the XP8, and I assume that that you have a module that pairs with the XP5 as well. But can you talk us through a little bit of that? Does that module actually go on the phone? Does it stay on the phone, or is it a separate item as you showed us here?
Yeah, great question. So the module that goes on, there is one for both the XP8 and the XP5, and they hard connect to the phone. They're real tiny. They're just an inch or two tall, maybe an inch tall, and it just clicks into the top of the phone and gets screwed in. So that the nice thing about that is there are two things we like about that setup. Number one, it's always connected to your phone, so you don't have to worry about grabbing two devices. And two, Sonam's put in a couple hard buttons on the side of the phone. So in the Sonam configuration, your push-to-talk's an actual physical push-to-talk button. So you can use it gloved or wet or any of these other things that you could encounter working outdoors.
And just as an aside, when we have our lunch and learn in November, we will have Sonam Technologies. So y'all might want to just put a bookmark in that when we talk to Sonam, and Michael, we definitely would encourage you to join us there too. We'll want to talk a little more in depth about how that works from their side. As we know, Sonam is an innovator in the field. They have a lot of partnerships that others don't, and so And I like that. I've actually seen the XP8. I see the way that it goes on, and definitely more interested in hearing more about that as time progresses. Do we have any other questions from anybody on the line?
I've got a question here, wondering a little bit about the super low cost point, or for rural, remote volunteer fire departments. What type of basic entry price do you have for small teams to try out the technology?
Yeah, so we sell just every day on our website. Just our standard pricing is $125 a unit or $250 a pair. So the pricing is super approachable. This is not a BK or Motorola radio that's going to set you back $2,000 to $10,000. This is a $100 piece of kit.
Okay, thanks. Are you so you mentioned hunters and recreational folks. Are you finding that there are more and more folks at that price point that are just picking this stuff up as they're heading out the Rocky Mountains and using it for personal use as well?
Yeah, I mean that's how we sort of entered the market. Is we sold a ton of these into the outdoor market. It was frankly more what I would say dirt bikes and quads were probably heavier purchasers than hikers and skiers to be, which was a bit surprising to us, but not surprising in retrospect. And then that same guy that's out, the same guy that bought that for his personal recreation realized that, he was a soldier or a FBI hostage rescue guy or, search and rescue, and so that really sort of got kind of the way the iPhone migrated into the enterprise market was our same strategy as well. Is let's make this easy to use and at a price point that guys can buy personally, and then realize that's very helpful at work as well.
Okay.
So yeah,
and Michael, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned the military. Now, if I understand correctly, can you talk us through your application in the military and how they use it?
Yeah, so let's pop to the appendix. That'll probably be helpful. So here would be, so I'm now showing a slide. Hopefully everyone sees Defense Operation Partner Force, and then we'll translate it into maybe how you could use in search and rescue. So the way the military has really leveraged this is, a lot of our special forces teams are very small teams, a handful of guys. And a lot of their work gets done with a partner force. So, the local militia in whatever area they're operating. And so they can show up, everybody has a smartphone, so they can meet their counterpart who maybe has a smartphone. They hand them a Beartooth, and now they've got a secure way to interface with their partner force. So in the op I'm showing you, you have a militia who's engaging, bad guys, for lack of a better term. U.S. Special Forces has stood off a little bit, a slightly more, secure environment, and they're communicating with their partner team. So that's one of the ways it gets used in defense. There's a lot of other ways, low visibility communication. There's some ways it gets used for high altitude parachute jumps. There's a bunch of different ways the tool gets used, but I show you this one because it's probably most applicable to search and rescue.
And what's that range? If you give the illustration of the parachutist, when you can get that dongle up higher in the air, what kind of range are you getting from that air to ground?
Pick any reasonable number you want. The max we've done is 25 miles. They've done a couple we've had some reports off aircraft of 10 to 12 miles once you get it up in the air. So LoRa is a really neat, so the horsepower of our device is this modulation scheme called LoRa, which is a very low power, long range transmitter. If you give it line of sight, it will go forever. It's pretty cool. So to your point, if you can get it up in the air, you can pretty much talk forever. So we're gonna.
And do you have any extended antennas, or is it? I'm assuming the antenna on this is internal.
Yeah, it's internal. So we'll be going back. So we'll be releasing sometime in the next quarter or two what we call the relay, and the relay will go ahead and have an external SMA port on it. But we've had, we certainly get that having a bigger antenna is important. We get that, getting it up in the air is important. But we've had really good. Our internal antenna is really efficient. We spent a lot of time designing it, and it actually works pretty well.
Are you envisioning that the relay unit? I noticed, great picture by the way. of the command post. That the relay unit
Oh,
also links to a smartphone itself.
So it could. The relay will have a couple I/O ports. Its main function in life is to act independently. And so let's go back to the command post one. The idea with the relay, back to your colleague's question that asked about range, is like I said, once you get these transceivers a little bit up in the air, they can talk forever. So the idea of the relay is to, run it up a flagpole on your command post or toss it on a kid's drone, anything to get it up in the air, because then your bubble's going to move from hundreds of meters to miles really, really quickly. So the idea is that the relay acts on it's a standalone device.
And what do you envision is going to be the battery life on that relay? How long before that's going to need a charge? And are there any strategies like using solar panels that are effective with that as you envision it?
So as is, we try and spec all our devices for about 4 days of battery life. We've always over batteried things. So we would expect the same on the relay. And then it's got a USB connector on it. So if you need it to last for an extended period of time, you can plug in an external battery and or a solar panel.
And how easy is it? Go ahead. Whoever else is.
What band are you operating in? I think I saw 900 megahertz, but is it
900 megahertz. So it's the ISM band.
Okay, and how are you? Are you using a frequency hopping algorithm when you find frequency contention, especially in more quasi urban areas? How do you address that?
Yeah, so it's frequency hopping. We have tested it in quite a few locations, whether it be, our headquarters in Bozeman, Montana. We have a software development office literally right next to LAX. We've tested it in downtown San Fran, downtown New York. I don't think we've ever had an instant where we've had interference problems.
Okay, thank you.
And and by the way, at our office at LAX, there's someone just standing on 910. So like if we turn on our spectrum analyzer, there's a ton of noise around 910, and it doesn't seem to affect our operations.
Thank you.
Other questions for Michael?
I guess I'm going to ask one of your team, Ed, if it's okay, which is, where are people what are the biggest comms problems you're facing today? What are your unmet need that you can't solve today?
Probably.
Well, Nate, you spend. Yeah, I was going to say Nate spends a lot of time in real remote areas with his stakeholders. So go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges we have is areas where we either have marginal repeater coverage, distances are too far for standard VHF line of sight, and most of the communications that happens, it would actually be preferable if we could if I could have my incident command have team locations, because that's just wasted radio traffic right off the bat, and patient status and resources needed. Because a lot of what we there are any number of cases where we're doing search and rescue, and it would certainly be easier to put everybody on a map, take a look, and be able to make some better command decisions and give the IC that location awareness and also patient status and resource needs when we're in situations where it's an extended search opportunity.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I think that's something that we can day one help with. Is, that's a native feature of the product is plots where everyone on your team is on a map at all times. So that's no longer something you need to transact over the radio. It's an automatic update within the application.
What maps do you use, and do you have downloadable maps with the application? And is that an additional cost, like, in some of the Garmin GPS, you can spend, a bunch of money on the GPS device, but then to download the maps, it's extra money?
Yeah, so for now, we partner with a company called Mapbox, who provides all of our mapping. There's no charge for that currently. So in your case, if you were going to go out on a rescue, we'll stay on the search and rescue theme, you would download a detailed map while you were still in, LTE or Wi-Fi range, get that saved into memory, and then it would be there when you moved out on location. I think over time, we'll probably allow for third-party maps. That's on our roadmap. It's something we're doing for the DoD. But for now, it just all comes through Mapbox, which tends to have, actually for search and rescue, those maps should be pretty adequate, because they're, DoD, they may not be updated enough, but the mountain range outside Bozeman is not going to change from week to week or month to month, because they're not buildings in an environment, the urban environment that may or may not have been bombed.
And I'm assuming that if I download the app and then I pair with the Beartooth as we have here, that anybody that has that device in the area has situational awareness where each other are at. Is there any way that you can compartmentalize? So if you have special ops team that, perhaps maybe you don't, like in law enforcement, you may not want to know their location. Is there any way to lock that down, or is it just whoever has a device, we can see them on the map?
No, it's all Beartooth communication is double opt-in, meaning that you have to have a two-way handshake before you start communicating with someone. So your team would have to handshake and enable each other prior to heading out, and they could not speak to another team without cross-authorization.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see a relay. Do you envision the relay is portable enough that someone can just throw it in the top of their pack, on the top of their pack, and hike in with it? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they're 8 ounce, 8 to 10 ounces, and the size of 2 decks of cards. And so one of your, I can't remember who was on your team, talked about, you're getting out a range of your LMR devices. And so our viewpoint is these will be light enough and cheap enough that you can breadcrumb these. So, drop it on a ridge line, or keep dropping them in advantaged positions as you move along to breadcrumb your own network. And like I said, we haven't finalized prices on the relays, but think plus or minus $500. So you can easily afford to have, a box of these. And, let's say that you drop one on a ridge line and can't even recover it again. I don't think it's going to break your department's budget to abandon a $500 relay.
Or you zip tie it to a Mavic Pro, right?
no joke. Or, again, back to this rescue I was talking about in Bozeman a couple months ago. They would have just tossed one out of the helo onto the ridge line as they were approaching, and probably never even picked it back up.
All right.
I guess that's a good point. I would assume, since you've partnered with companies like Sonam, that and especially as the military application and where these things have to go, are these devices hardened, both the relay and what you currently have as an offering?
So I wouldn't use the term hardened. Our current device, I would say, is slightly more rugged than your smartphone, meaning it doesn't have a breakable glass screen. But other than that, you should sort of treat it with the same respect you treat your smartphone. It can get splashed on water. We've dropped them into the snow, but they're not submersible. The relay, because it's meant to be left outdoors, that will have an IP rating. That will be waterproof.
And I'm sorry, on the relay, you said the weight of that is, again, because I'm looking at your picture of the unmanned aerial vehicle, and I'm thinking, that might be a good way to get that relay up in the air. So what's the payload on that?
It's about 10 ounces.
Oh, definitely within the range of UAV.
Have you tested it with any of the any drones?
So we've done a little bit of drone testing. Frankly, not as much as I'd like, just because we're kind of resource constrained.
Right.
But we've definitely popped. I'm trying to think who we flew it on. We also I don't know if you guys ever bumped into a company called Ascent out of Bozeman that does gimbal cameras, and then they have a sister company called Bridger Aerospace that flies on forest fires. We've definitely flown some of our kit on their drones. I'm just trying to remember which drones.
Yeah, that would just be interesting, because that's that presents an easy 20-minute, 30-minute coverage opportunity.
Yeah, and you can actually, again, depending on where you're working, you may be able to get a whole lot more, because let's say you're working next to a big ledge line. Well, rather than continuously fly your drone, just fly your drone to the top of the ridge line, land it there, right? Because now you
and let it sit.
Just let it sit, and then take it off when you need it. Yeah, it's cool. We're excited to get those up in the air, because it's just, we have all the limitations of every other radio when you get obstructions in the way, range gets cut. But it's really, these things are really fun with line of sight. It's pretty unbelievable what they can do.
Do we have any other questions for Michael? So, Michael, what else do we need to know about Beartooth, your current offering, and what you've got going on in the future?
So I guess just to summarize, it's a very low cost, low size and weight solution to allow you to communicate really quickly in areas with no LMR or LTE. Super easy price point, $250 a pair. And going forward, we'll be building out these very lightweight portable networks, so that when you're in an area and you have to do a search or you're fighting a fire, like this whole kit that I'm showing on the page right now is less than $10,000. And you could cover a pretty big area with 5 relays, and you could have a 25-person team working. Like I said, that whole kit's less than $10,000. So I think where we are today is a really inexpensive system for off-grid comms, and where we'll be in 6 months is hyper-portable, disposable networks, so that you have a coverage bubble anywhere you're operating that fits in a small Pelican case.
And currently, what's the best way for people to get either connected with you or to buy a pair of dongles and get started with Beartooth? Where do you suggest they go to get started?
Got it. So I'll give my contact info, and then obviously you're welcome to pass it on to anyone if they don't want to scribble down the notes. But I'm just michael@beartooth.com. Our website is just beartooth.com. And we're also available on Amazon for people who like the ease of one click on Amazon.
And the special component that you have with Sonam Technologies, is the price point comparable, or is there a difference in cost? And where do we get those from?
So the Sonam, the Sonam product is similar price point, and they'll be releasing that. I think let's get the release date from Robert, because I don't want to speak out of turn. But they'll be
yes, we don't want that.
They'll be releasing that in as short as 90 days and as long as 180 days. And I'm not sure which channels, the partners they'll be putting it through. But yeah, it's similar price point. It'll be $100 or $200 upgrade to the phone. Okay.
And any of you that are interested, again, we were mentioning anybody that showed up late, that Sonam Technologies will be on with us in November, and we will certainly pose that question to him when we have that. If you're interested in seeing the XP8 before then, just don't hesitate to reach out to Ed Mills at the Governor's Office of Information Technology, and I can show that to you. Any other questions? I know everybody's probably busy and may want some time back, but we want to make sure that all your questions have been answered about this, what I think is a very exciting technology.
Ed, could you put the slide up for attendance again?
We sure will. Michael, yeah, there we go. Let me get to it. So again, we do thank you for showing up for today. If you would go in and record your attendance, we put a QR code there for you if you want to do it easily. And just want to remind you as well that you can go anytime to www.broadband.co.gov and go scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you will be able to find our YouTube channel. On that YouTube channel, you can see anything that we've put out when we were the Colorado, or FirstNet Colorado, or presently with the Colorado Broadband Office. We've got a lot of work product on there, and almost anything that you would ever want to know about public safety and what we're doing here across the state. You can also, as you can see, we have a Twitter lead there, at CO_broadband. And we do want to thank you for your participation, especially Michael, for your time. We appreciate innovators such as yourself really leading that charge and coming up with some great ideas that make those of us who are on the line and those who support public safety. This is fantastic technology that helps us leverage smartphones. So we appreciate your time today. We appreciate your work, and thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate the work you do. And if anyone has a question, absolutely do not hesitate to just shoot me a quick email. Happy to jump on another phone call, whatever it takes to help support you. And like I said, what we really love to hear is, man, this is a pain point that I have every day and nobody solved it for me, because that's what helps us improve the product and fill needs for you.
It really is. And while everybody is preparing to get that pencil and paper or that pen, Michael, could you give it to us a couple more times, or at least once, and let us know how they can get in touch with you and how they can find your website.
Yep. So I'm just Michael, Michael at Beartooth, BEARTOOTH.com. And obviously the website's just www.beartooth.com. And we're on Amazon as well for people who like Amazon.
Fantastic. If there are no other questions, let's going once. Any questions? Going twice?
Michael, thanks very much.
We will go ahead and conclude for today. And thank you very much for everyone who gave us an hour of your time today. And look forward to next week. We'll be talking about ES Chat. And that'll be on October 24th from noon to 1, ES Chat, where you can actually use your cell phone to do push-to-talk communications. And so we're excited to hear from Josh Lober from ES Chat. So join us next month, October 24th, for that exciting Lunch and Learn. And thank you all for coming. And we'll talk to you later and see you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ed. Go Cats.